Yes, guys, welcome to a brand new video. And today we're going to be talking about deload weeks. We're going to be talking about what they are and the purpose of them, and also how to set them up. Now, before we talk about the deload week, we firstly have to talk about the training. So, first things first, in your training program, the one that I've built you may notice that the volume, aka the sets, are actually quite low. So we usually start everyone at minimum effective volume, or the minimum effective dose of volume. And so that on average is around 10-ish sets per exercise per week. So this could be, let's say you're training chest Monday and Thursday. That means 5 sets on Monday and then 5 sets of chest on a Thursday, right? So that's usually what minimum effective volume means. And we always want to start at the lower end of the volume so that we can slowly ramp up from there, right? Because let's say I started you at your minimum or your maximum recoverable volume, which is like the most amount of volume that you can actually recover from. It's like there's not a whole lot of like wiggle room and a whole lot of improvement that we can work on from there, right? So it's always best with any type of program you follow, always starts with the minimum amount of volume, or just the minimum amount in general, where you can still make some progress with, and then slowly work up from there, as opposed to starting out like balls to the walls, like going all out on the week one and then burning yourself out within the first week, right? Because it doesn't allow for a whole lot of like productive work within the training block or the mesocycle, right? So we always start at minimum effective volume, and then week after week we increase the volume, right? The same thing applies with your intensity. So week one we usually start at around 3 or 4 RIR, which basically stands for reps in reserve. So let's say on your 10 rep max is 100 pounds on the squat. We're going to start at around, or doing around 6 or 7 reps using 100 pounds at the squat, right? So week one should be fairly easy. It should be still somewhat challenging. You should still get a pretty solid pump, a pretty like good disruption. You should get kind of sore after your workout, but not like completely sore where it's like, okay, this is super unsustainable, right? So that'll be week one. And then week after week, like I mentioned, you want to accumulate in the volume, but then also in the intensity, right? So we'll go from, let's say, 10 sets on average per exercise per week to around 12 or 14, and then to 16, 18, and then usually on average 20 sets per muscle group per week is the maximum recoverable volume for most exercises. And again, guys, this implies that, or at least I assume that your form and technique are on point, because doing 20 sets of like a half-assed exercise may not be as, let's say, fatiguing and as difficult as opposed to doing 20 sets of a full range of motion, high quality productive reps and sets, right? So I always assume that your form is dialed in, you're doing a full range of motion, you're not doing any half reps or anything stupid like that, right? But now as we kind of like do our accumulation phase, we add more volume, we add more sets, we add more intensity, go closer to failure week after week. With that comes at a huge cost of the fatigue as well, right? And now over time, as you start to increase your performance, your fatigue will start to like mask your performance as well, right? And so what you'll notice after around 4 to 8 weeks of hard, continuous training, that's it's kind of hard to kind of like keep progressing from there, right? Because obviously week one is easy, you can progress from there, but the harder the workouts get, the harder it's going to get to progress from there, right? And so especially as your fatigue kind of acutely or kind of like goes up with that, it's going to be hard to keep on progressing from there, right? And that is the perfect opportunity for us to implement a deload week into your training. And now let's say, for instance, I did not have you do a deload week. Let's say you don't do a deload week at all. What could happen? So one or two things could happen. Number one, like I mentioned to you guys, because it's getting increasingly more difficult now to progress with your training, so instead of like progressively overloading, which is the purpose of the gym, we're there to do high quality, productive work and actually to improve and get stronger over time. What you may notice is that if you're training in a super high fatigue state with lots of volume and just super high intensity, that you're actually going to be regressively underloading. So you're actually getting weaker over time, which is not what we want whatsoever, right? That's like every gym rat's worst nightmare. So that's the first thing that could happen. And obviously no one wants that, right? As soon as you notice that you're getting weaker in the gym, completely just like stop it and take a deload week, right? Because again, why are we going to the gym to get weaker? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? The second thing that could happen is you're actually at a huge risk of getting injured when you're training in a high fatigue state. And so you could very well set yourself back literally months. If you're not careful, you could pull a muscle, you could pull a quad, you could pull a bicep tear, whatever it could be. And you could literally set yourself back like months, which would suck, right? And so I want you guys to view the deload week as taking one step backwards in order to take 2 steps forwards. And so what the deload week allows us to do really quickly, just in essence, it allows us to reduce all the fatigue that we've accumulated over the past, let's say, 4 to 8 weeks of hard continuous training, so that after that deload week is done, we feel refreshed, rejuvenated, and re-energized to start another high quality productive block of training again, which is otherwise known as a mesocycle, right? So that's the entire purpose of a deload week, to just reduce all the fatigue. Should only take about a week or so, and then after that's done, you kind of like can restart the progression from there, right? So by looking at the graph, we started at the minimum effective volume, and then week after week, let's say for the example's sake, week 1 we do that, week 2 we do around 12 to 16 sets, which is the maximum adaptable volume. So this is kind of like a floating scale. And then we work up, let's say up to week 2, week 3, week 4, we get up to our MRV, which stands for maximum recoverable volume. And by definition, this is the maximum amount of volume that you can actually recover from, because anything beyond this, you cannot recover from. And then it's almost going to be like overtraining, and you're really doing junk volume basically, right? And like I mentioned, the entire point of doing workouts is to progress and get stronger. And then from there, we do our deload week, cut down the volume, the sets, all the way in half, and also cut down the intensity as well. So on the next slide, I'll explain to you guys exactly how you can actually set up your own deload week. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set up your deload week, but the entire point of the deload week is just to make the training really easy and really light. So there's a couple different options. The way we do it in our program is you pretty much take your sets, your reps, and your weight, and we cut them all in half. So we do half of the planned weight, half of the planned reps, and half of the planned sets, right? So cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half. So let's say on the last week of your accumulation phase at your MRV, you were doing 4 sets of 10 reps at 100 pounds of the squats, going all out to true failure. On your deload week, for instance, you're going to be only doing 2 sets of 5 reps at 50 pounds. And you're going to be doing that for all exercises, right? Cutting it all in half. And now, as you can tell, that's super easy, a light training. And yes, that's the entire point of the deload week, to again help reduce all the fatigue that you've accumulated. And it's actually been found scientifically through a bunch of studies that by doing something in a gym as opposed to doing nothing can actually help promote recovery a lot quicker. So it's usually a bit better to actually go into the gym, still do the exercises, still again do a full range of motion with all the exercises, get some blood in the muscles, get some blood in the joints. This can actually help promote recovery a lot faster, as opposed to you doing nothing for the deload week and you just sitting down on your couch, right? So option number 1, you can drop your volume and reps in reserve, so your RIR, in the first half of the week. So let's say Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday, and your load as well in the second half of the week. So basically this lets you get some heavy loading in the first half of the week, keeping you fresh for the next mesocycle. Option number 2 is you can drop your load and your reps in reserve in the first half of the week and your volume as well in the second half of the week. This is usually better for much stronger lifters, such as powerlifters, for example, as it lets your joints and connective tissues heal as well. And now the third option is you can just not train at all whatsoever, which is completely fine to do, but probably not optimal, like I mentioned to you guys, because by doing something, at least and especially for a lot of people that, let's say, aren't really addicted to the gym, like let's say gym isn't like something you look forward to every time. What I've noticed is through being a personal trainer and an online coach, if I were to give you the entire week off, it's just going to be difficult to kind of get back into the gym again, right? Because you kind of like lose your mojo, you like lose that momentum of like your routine of like going to the gym at a certain time every single day, or at least on the days that you're assigned to go. And you just like take the entire week off the gym, it can kind of like set you back, just like when it comes to like the whole momentum thing. So I do advise most people to still go into the gym. What you can do instead as well is you can even like double up some of your sessions. So let's say you're following like an upper lower split. Now, because you're doing half of the planned sets, half of the planned reps with half of the planned volume or load, you can literally do your upper body workout and your lower body workout on the same workout, and you pretty much spend the same amount of time in a gym as well, right? So a couple different options there, but hopefully I kind of explained properly to you guys, number 1, what a deload week is, and also the importance of it and how you can actually set it up in your own training. If you guys do have any questions for me, please let me know, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace. Now, if you want to be around a community of like-minded people just like yourself who will educate you, motivate you, and inspire you to absolutely demolish your health and fitness goals, come join the Barbarian squad down below. I guarantee you, you will not regret it one single bit, and I'll see you inside.